Hi, we're on to video number 3. I've actually posted video number 2. I have not publicly announced that yet. I'm trying to work up the courage, but I will. But when you do, make sure that you're watching them in order. So make sure you watch the first one, second one, then third one, and so on, because otherwise it's not going to make sense. So in the last video, I talked about the car accident. I also talked about the video that I had watched, and both kind of weird circumstances, but never really, had a major impact on me. I realized they were kind of, like weird, but I still went on and, never really thought much of it. So at this point in my life, the things that I was going through, I was really isolating myself. I mean, I literally isolated for probably for a good year. I really didn't talk to hardly anyone. And I think it's because things were happening to me that I could not explain. And I was trying to process that, and I wanted to talk about it, but I knew that at that time I couldn't. And I think God was taking me through this journey that I needed to go through alone. And I'm glad that he did, because now I understand why I think I needed to have that alone time with just me and God, because I had a lot to figure out, if that makes sense. So anyway, I'm going to just go ahead and dive into the rest of the story, because if I don't, I'm just going to talk in circles, because that's just what my brain's telling me to do. So at the time, I own a business. I am just got into a new place as all this was really starting to happen. And I honestly can tell you, I don't know how I stayed open. I don't know. That literally right there was God, because I would literally work another job, come home, cry, sleep 2 hours, cry more, get up, go to work, cry, sleep, cry. It was crazy. Like, that period in my life was just so full of different types of emotions that I cannot explain to anyone. So, anyway, so going through all of that and going through these, experiences that I'm going to get into with you, took a toll. Like, literally, I mean, emotionally just took a toll on me. I, again, don't know how I got through life. I don't know how I made it that far, because it was just every day was, agony for that whole year, going through this, because I felt like I was going nuts. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't, but I felt like I was. I didn't realize the whole picture till really toward the end of what God was trying to teach me. And until, God let me experience some things and had to wake me up. I think my whole story really started after the prayer that, I fell onto the floor. And after the incident with the phone is when things really started to spiral and take a turn. So I started having really, really terrible dreams. I mean, bad, memorable dreams that were just so frightening. Again, could have been from just all the stuff that was happening to me at once. I don't know, but I was, I was I was experiencing these really bad dreams, and bad things just started happening like out of the blue. And when I say like bad, I mean not just your average, okay, this was a bad day. We've all had bad days, okay? And I promise you on everything, I'm not making this up. I would take a lie detector to this day. This was terrible. This was awful. This was not normal. And I knew it. Like, I knew something else was happening that I've been here for 44 years. Like, I know a bad day. I know a bad week. I know a bad month. I don't know a bad year like every single day. When I say like bad things were happening, I mean literally in one day I could wake up and my refrigerator would be out. The middle of the day, something would break on my car. And then the end of the day, I would be in the hospital for, it was always something. Like, it was crazy, ridiculously like noticeable, not just to me, but other people too. And it was very terrifying. I mean, I literally thought, I was like, this whole experience was so surreal that I really thought, oh my gosh, like, I'm like, God's preparing me for my death. Like, that's what I thought. Like, I was like, God is preparing me to get right for my own death. And he did. That sure doesn't to come for the future, but in my mind, this is what I was thinking when this all was happening, because I didn't know what was going on. So as this is all happening, I'm keeping this all to myself, and I'm driving myself crazy because I'm just like trying to understand what's going on, why this is happening to me. I don't know. The first real incident starts, I'm going to say a vision. The other one, I will say a dream. I talked to somebody, and there's apparently like two separate descriptions for this, but they were both very, very prominent in this experience. So I'm going to share both of them, because the vision is scary, but the dream was so real that I could touch, taste, like feel everything. It was not just a dream. It was definitely real. And you'll understand when I tell it, like, it's not something that can just be made up. It was definitely something for very real. So the first incident occurs at night, and I had just laid down to go to bed. And at the time, as embarrassing as this is, I was on my own. I was always scared anyway, but I would sleep with like this lamp on and, a TV or noise or something. I just could not fall asleep to like my own thoughts. Now I cannot sleep without the dark and no sound or whatever. So it's so awesome to see how far I've come. But at that point in my life, I couldn't. Like, I had to really, try to fall asleep, and it took me sometimes hours to do so. This particular night, I fall asleep. I have a window to my left, and the curtain was open, but the blinds are like that bamboo, like that tiny bamboo, like wood. So you can kind of see in and out. You can definitely see in and out, okay? But it's like that real thin, like bamboo blinds, if that makes sense. So I'd not shut that curtain that night. And I was asleep, and my daughter at the time did sleep with me. We'll admit that. She was young, and I also, she was my comfort, like at the time, and we're still comfort buddies. Like, that's still my baby, So she was on the right side of me, and the window is on the left, and the lamp is on the left, and I have this clock. It was a big clock, and it was a big, loud alarm clock. And I had it there because obviously I wasn't sleeping very well. And so I needed to make sure that I was getting up in the morning and all that other stuff. So I had that alarm clock sitting on the nightstand next to my bed. So this particular night, I was sound asleep. And have you ever like felt like you were like falling? I know, hold on for a minute. Have you ever felt like you were falling, you wake up like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like you jerk up real fast. This happened to me. I didn't feel like I was falling though. I don't know what it was. It just woke me up instantaneously. And I was like, with almost like a, like that urgency of like, you know, freaking out a little bit. So, but when I woke up, and I looked out that window. Like that window was like key in all of this. So I was looking out this window and I was like so terrified. It was just the worst feeling that I had. It was the worst intuitive feeling that I had. And I was sure, 100% sure that somebody was outside. And you know, I was very scared because at the time the lamp was on, and I was like, how am I going to shut this lamp off? Like whoever's out there can see in and I can't see out. Like that's terrifying. But I started to slowly make my way to the lamp and I was able to shut it off. And at the time I noticed the clock that was on the nightstand was flashing on and off. And call it mama bear, call it just being a mother. Like we have this fight in us, I guess. I don't know where it came from because I am the world's biggest weenie. Really, truly I am. And I grabbed a baseball bat underneath my bed and I was positive that someone was outside. Why I didn't call the police or something, I don't know. Maybe I think it was because I wasn't for sure that I knew somebody was out there. I didn't want to be like, hey, I think somebody's out here. I woke up and I was startled, but I didn't hear anything. I assumed somebody was out there. So I went against probably my better judgment, which don't ever do something stupid like this because I don't know where that came from. But I grabbed the baseball bat and I go around the corner and my living room is over here and there's sliding glass door. And if you go at that sliding glass door and you turn to the left, there's the indent and then you can see my window right there. So you have to actually turn the corner to see the window. I opened the sliding glass door really slow and I got this bat and I am ready to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. Bat somebody to death. I have no idea. But I was there. I was going to do it. My kids were in the house, so I think I was worried for them. And I was just freaking out. So I turn this corner and there's nobody there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what was that? And I was, you know, I'm just like, yeah, Alicia, you've really lost it. Like, this is, you know, like, go back to bed and just stop. Like, you know, it was nothing. But I still couldn't get this feeling that someone was out there. Like, it was so strong and it didn't feel good. So I come in, I lock every window, lock every door. And it takes me a long time. But I noticed when that clock was flashing on and off, I thought, well, maybe the electricity had went out. And so I start checking the house, like the kitchen, the appliances, to see if the lights are flashing on that, because then that would make sense of maybe that light going on and off, like, just startled me or something. But it wasn't, that didn't happen because everything else was fine. So I get back in bed. I keep the TV on, but I turn it down a little bit so if I can hear somebody if I have to. But the light on the TV's on, shut that curtain, and I finally am able to go back to sleep. So this is really scary, and let me assure you that there are great parts to my story. There are very scary parts to my story, because I do believe that after that prayer, I think when you're trying to turn your life over to God, when you're, even if you're not making the right decisions at the time, you're still slowly starting to come into Him. You're starting to see things for what they are. I think you can definitely face an attack from the enemy, and he's going to try to scare you. He's going to try to do what he can to get you down and tormented and deceived and all that stuff. So I do believe that's what I was going through. But this part of the story is very scary, so I just want to, make sure that there's a warning about that. After this story and the next story, it gets so much better. There's some great things that I've seen, great things that I've heard that I cannot wait to tell you guys. Like, it's just so amazing. So I wake up again, and this time when I wake up, like I'm asleep, wake up with a jolt again, but this time I'm upright in my bed, and I cannot move. I can't even move my toes. I can't move my fingers. I can't move my head. I've heard of sleep paralysis. I do believe in that, but I also know what came after this. I know, was definitely spiritual, okay? So I sit up, and all I can move is my eyes back and forth. I can look this way, I can look that way. I cannot move, though, at all. And I can see my daughter next to me, and I can see this window from the side, that previous window. And as I'm looking at this window, because of the hue from the TV glare, I could visibly see, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is my story. Believe me if you want to, don't believe me if you don't, I don't care. Still love me if you don't. That's your judgment, but I know what I experienced. I'm looking at this window, and I see a shadow figure of a man. I knew it was a male, but it was definitely a shadow. But I just knew that it was a male, not a female. And this shadow of a man took one leg and put it through my window. The other leg was still outside, and it turned its head and it just looked at me. And my heart was I never been so scared in all my life. I don't care. That was probably one of the most terrifying experiences of my life, to see that. And I didn't know what to do. I couldn't move. I couldn't warn my daughter next to me that, there was something there. Like, I was absolutely just frightened. I can't even explain the amount of fright that I had inside of me. And the only thing I could do, that I could think of to do in that situation, because I couldn't run, I couldn't wake anyone up, and I couldn't talk. But I remember, inside of me, and that sounds weird, but I was praying internally, very hard. I was praying internally. I was, asking Jesus to help me and make sure nothing happens to Jocelyn, and all this stuff. So I was praying so deep, and to the point where I could actually, and I don't know how to explain this to you guys. I know what I mean, but inside myself, I could actually hear my own prayer. So that definitely happened. And as I'm praying, that's when I realized that every time I spoke God's name, this thing, whatever it was, had to leave. And it slowly just started to retract, and it fled. And oh boy, I did not sleep very well that night. If I got any sleep, it was in the morning when the light was out, and it was 6 in the morning. I was so shook of that experience. I didn't sleep for days. Like it was tormentous almost to be in that experience. But again, couldn't share anything. I didn't know how to tell people what I was going through or anything like that. So that, I say, was a vision. I definitely saw what I saw. The next one is kind of scary, but it's also good in a way. So there is, a goodness to the story too, maybe. And I hope that, I think maybe possibly the reason I'm supposed to share this story, maybe this person exists or something, and I don't have a clue. I don't know, but it's been on my heart that I need to do this. So, God's keep nudging me. He's also shown me in other ways, like, you're going to listen to me. So I at this point have no choice. I have to tell the story. So second story, major story, because I had little incidences that happened too that were just as terrifying, but I'm not going to get into those because we could be here for, making these videos for a year, because my experience was over a course of 3 years, pretty much, give or take, estimated. So the second incident occurred in the form of a dream, but it was not a dream. It definitely was not a dream. It was as real as me being able to reach out and touch you. Like, it was very vivid. I remember it to this day. I can see, I can smell, I can feel. So I know where I was a real place. So this dream actually, I woke up. I didn't wake up, but I woke up in this Olympic-sized pool. I'd say Olympic, but it wasn't Olympic. It was way bigger than that. It was massive. This thing went down probably till I couldn't even see anymore. It was so big, so huge. And it was well lit, so it didn't appear scary or anything like that. And I'm just going to say, sorry, someone's calling me. I'm just going to say that I know in the Bible it speaks of the pits of fire, or, the pits of hell having fire and stuff. And I do believe that, definitely, because if it's in the Bible, it's, I'm sure it's there. But in my case, it was a little bit different, okay? Yes, I did see hell. I've seen it, so I'm going to explain what I saw when I was there. I'm in this pool area, and I walk in, and I see all these people in this pool, and per square inch, like, there was not a lot of space left over for much of anything. But I just thought, these people are having fun. They're having a good time. Like, as I get closer toward the edge of the pool, I'm looking at these people, and I can tell that they are not having fun. They are splashing. They are screaming. They are, pulling each other, like trying to hold on to each other. It was so sad to watch this. I was watching it, and I was in shock, because at that point I could see what was happening, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm telling you the way I saw this. But I could see people getting pulled down by their ankles one at a time, like just multiple people, going up and down. So these, they were getting pulled down by their ankles in this pool, and they were getting pulled down just enough to where they were probably going to pass out. And then they would be released up to the surface, just to get enough time to get a little bit of breath. and freak out and get sucked right back under. And you couldn't see what was pulling them under. Obviously, I knew that was demons, because no other explanation for it. I was watching this in horror, and I was so sad for all these people. I could not, like, I was watching and I was just like, what in the world's happening? Like, what, this is crazy. So I'm watching all these people being tormented, and right then, I heard this voice, and it was over my right shoulder, and I audibly heard it. Like, it wasn't something inside me, intuition. It wasn't that. Like, I audibly heard the voice of God. I know it was God. So because you know his voice, like, it's just something that you internally know. Like, you know, I knew who that was. I heard this voice over on the right side of my shoulder, and it said, do not be scared. We're going into this pool. We have to go into this pool. We're going into the pool because we got to do something. And don't worry, I'm with you. I will protect you. And that's all he said. Within a second, we're in this pool. And we're maybe, well, I say we're, I can't see. I never saw him. I could just hear him, but I could feel it. Could feel him. But I couldn't see. But all I know is that we were about 5 feet maybe from the pool edge. So you think you could just like easily just like swim to the side and get out. But I didn't even want to. Like, I was just in this pool, just kind of like, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm in here. I wasn't scared. I had no fear whatsoever. Not a single speck of fear did I have. I was just, you know, floating. And off to the right side, I see these doors, and I see this man and this woman, and they're walking so fast. Like, they're walking. They looked like they were far away, but they really, it didn't. Okay, never mind. I know what I'm saying, but it looked like it was a far distance, but it really wasn't, because they got there pretty quick. But they were walking very, very rash, and they were angry. And I just remember seeing how mad they were. And from a distance, I was like, why are these people upset? Like, I remember thinking and asking myself why they were so mad. I couldn't tell why they were angry. I could tell by the way they were walking, just their body gestures and everything, you know, that they were upset. And they get to the edge of the pool. The woman, now, I don't want to scare anyone from what I saw, but, you know, I saw Satan. Satan was in the form of a man to me in this, in this setting. He didn't have horns. He didn't have, he wasn't red, and he didn't, he looked in the form of a man, and I believe he can probably shift to whatever he wants, at the time. So maybe other people have had different experiences, but this is just mine. I didn't even know it was Satan until he got closer to the pool, and I'll explain that. But the woman, I'm going to go to her first. The woman was really, really tiny. She was maybe 90 to 100 pounds, very small woman, very paley white. She had jet black, dark hair, and she was just so, I just remember her looking so frail. She was just really a very small woman. And then when he got closer, that's when I could tell who that was. And I didn't even have to ask. You just know, because you just know what you see. And I knew right when he got closer that was Satan. His eyes, it was all about his eyes. It was really nothing else. His eyes were a color I can't really even describe to anybody. It was not even on the spectrum of what I could describe, but it looked like his eyes held terror and like lightning all in. I'm sorry. I know this does not make sense to people. I can vision it in my head. I'm trying to explain it to you guys. They swirled though, and it was not a good feeling. Like, it was definitely like, oh, this is pure, like, this is bad. You know, this is someone not good. I knew who it was. Like, I just knew. I didn't even have to be told. I knew who it was. So anyway, it gets closer to the pool. They get to the pool and they're at the edge. They're looking down at me and they're yelling, they're cursing, they're mad, they're angry. And now that I'm not in the dream anymore, before then I was like, how did that? I was like, why are they mad at me? Like, what in the world is going on? But I think that they were so angry because God was there. God was with me at that time. And I think it was the embodiment of Christ that they were so upset at, that he was there to do something. Or I don't know, to be honest, but I now that I'm out of it and I've had time to think about, well, what did this might have meant? Why was he so angry? When that was why. I really do believe that. So I still wasn't scared though. Still wasn't scared. I'm looking up. I'm just like, these people are crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why they're so mad, you know. And all of a sudden, as he's screaming, he's cursing, I can tell he's giving orders. Like, I can tell that. Like, I can remember that. Like, in his demeanor and in his talk. And he, as he's giving these orders, I can feel something grab onto my ankles. And it starts to pull me under, just like it's trying to tug, but it can't, like nothing's happening. And I'm still not scared. I'm just like kind of bobbling, but I'm like, I knew what he was trying to do. And this is where things get interesting because I had this sense of knowing that I wasn't going to go under. So here I am, you know, in this situation, and I'm looking at him and I'm literally arguing now with the devil. I'm like, I know that sounds crazy, but it really did happen. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, you can't get me under. I've been told I'm not going to go under. Like, I know you can't pull me under. So I'm not going under. And I'm having this like two-way like back and forth with him. And he is just angry. He is so mad that I'm not able to get pulled under. So at this point, they take out this like oil-based substance, and I remember that because I remember feeling it hit me too. But they were at this point they were and I do believe, and I'm sorry I have to say this before I say this, because I've never spoken tongues. I know by watching that, you know, there's people that have been able to do that. I've never experienced that personally. That's just not my gift, I guess. I don't know. But I definitely believe that there is a demonic tongue, because I'd never even heard of tongues before this situation. Like, I've heard it spoken, but I didn't even know what it was really. But I do believe that there's a demonic tongues because this man and this woman were in tongues. They were in definitely a different type of language, and it was definitely spiritual. And they're speaking in tongues, and as they're doing this, they take out this oil and they're throwing it at me. And as they're throwing at me, I can feel it like hitting my face and just going really slow down, because the oil, like, it wasn't like water, so I knew that it was definitely an oil base. And they're, you know, just cursing, they're mad, they're angry, and they're talking in tongues. And as they start to do this, the tug on my ankles started to get stronger. They started to get a little bit stronger, and they started to somewhat pull me, but they still couldn't get me under. Like, I was literally about right here. I remember that up to and I still wasn't scared though. Like, I was like, still like, you're not going to be able to accomplish this. Like, I, you know, and God right then comes back to where I can hear him, because I'm so confused why I'm even doing this, why I'm there, or what's happening. God speaks to me again, and he says to turn my attention to the woman, which I did. Sorry, someone's calling me again. He said, turn your attention to her and tell her that I know that she was abused by her mother when she was growing up. And that she's always blamed me for the abuse, but that everybody is born with free will. Her mom made those choices, and even though she made those choices, I was always with her. I never left her. I was always with her. And I said exactly what he told me to say to this woman, and she kind of stops, but she is still like cursing. She's still mad, but everything kind of slows down a little bit with her, at least, not with him, but with her. And I'm going to say this just exactly like it was said to me, just so I can, because I questioned this too. I'm like, okay, when did colored casts come out? Because I've looked, trust me, you don't think I've done the research on all this. To this day, I still want to know like more about, what happened. But anyway, he says to me, tell her that she had an orange cast from when her mom broke her arm when she was a child. I never left her. And I am repeating this, and I'm just like, an orange, like, I wonder, I'm like, okay, an orange cast, like, that had to be in recent. But this is how it was spoke to me. I definitely heard orange cast from when her mom abused her as a child. She broke her arm. And I say this to this woman, and she stops. Just stops, like cold. And she must have not known how I could know that, other than if it was God telling me, because she was like just completely stopped everything. And within, I would say, milliseconds, we are in this mud room. We're out of the pool. Well, I'm out of the pool. And I'm wet. And I remember that. And I'm in this mud room, and it was like, had a little bit of light, just looked like dusk almost. Like if it was like 9 o'clock at night where it's getting dark. So it had that kind of lighting in there, and the walls were like a gray, and the like gray blue, and the floors were like a gray blue, and it wasn't scary at that point. It looked like a mud room. That's the best description I can give you. I don't know if we were in the same place, if we were there, or we were, like taken somewhere else. I have no clue. All I know is that we were in this room, and it was just me and this girl, just this tiny little itty bitty like girl. She and we're clenched, hand to hand, facing each other. And we got our foreheads together, and we are just praying, like, and crying and praying. And I wake up. I did not get over that dream like that. I will never be able to unsee what I saw. I know what I saw. I know it wasn't just a dream. I know that. I know I could feel everything. In a dream, I think over time with dreams, like you forget them a little, or at least I do. I don't know about anyone else. I've had some memorable ones, but I still forget like small details. But you kind of forget them, and you don't really feel the pain or feel, the feelings or the emotions or anything like that. In a dreams, you can feel scared, but I could feel this oil. I can't get over that, because I definitely felt that like flinging me in the face. I remember that. And yeah, I mean, it was so real. So this definitely happened. And so this was another big experience. And then after this, like, I was like, okay, something serious is going on. I'm like, things were happening that I can't explain to you guys. I'm not even going to go get into those little things, but there were so many other things that were happening around me that were very not, that were not normal. And it was very scary. The scariest time of my life, to be matter of fact. I walked a lot, took walks because it would calm me so that I could actually, like, you know, focus again, because it was so bad. But anyway, I'm going to skip those little parts and just kind of go into, you know, some of the other stuff that kind of happened after that. So, and again, I'm not going to be able to make this video very long because there's so many different parts to this. But going through all those trials and all those experiences that I had with God, and also with Satan, I know that he tried to scare, like, I've got video proof and I can show you, and I'm gonna wait because that is very, very scary. But you know, I think he wanted me scared, he wanted me down, he wanted me depressed, he wanted to keep me bound in where I was, and God was trying to show me how to get out of all of that.